All right, good afternoon, everybody. I'll call the Senate Committee on Growth and Infrastructure to order. Will the Secretary please call the roll?
Senator Hammond?
Here.
Senator Hansen?
Here.
Senator Pizzina?
Present.
Senator Spearman?
Here.
Chair Harris?
Here, thank you. Welcome, everybody. It's got a full-packed house. I love it. We are going to first quickly work session a couple of bills. Committee members, you have the consent agenda in front of you. Senate Bill 110, which revises provisions governing the operation of vehicles on certain highways in the state of Nevada. Senate Bill 182, which revises provisions governing motor vehicles. And Senate Bill 250, which revises provision relating to catalytic converters. These bills do not have any amendments. Would members like to pull any of them? Okay, not seeing any. We'll go ahead and take a motion then. All right, we got a motion from the Vice Chair, Senator Spearman, a second from Senator Hansen. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? All right, passes unanimously. I'll turn it over to our policy analyst to go through the other bills on work session today that do have amendments. We'll go ahead and just sign floor statement, Senate Bill 110, Senator Pizzina. Senate Bill 182, Senator Spearman. And Senate Bill 250, Senator Hammond.
Thank you, Chair Harris. For the record, Kristen Rossiter, Committee Policy Analyst with the Legislative Council Bureau. As such, we do not advocate for or against any legislation that this committee will consider. The first item on the work session is Senate Bill 11, which requires the Department of Public Safety to adopt regulations authorizing a public agency to use unmanned aerial vehicles for certain purposes, and is sponsored by this committee on behalf of the Nevada League of Cities and Municipalities. This bill requires the Department of Public Safety to adopt regulations authorizing the use of registered unmanned aerial vehicles, including for inspections conducted to ensure compliance with building and fire codes and inspections of public works and other real property in which the public agency has a property interest. 2 amendments have been received and copies were attached along with the work session document. All of these materials are available on Nellis. The first one is from the City of Henderson and the second one from Ferrari Reader.
Thank you so much. Members, any questions? All right, I'll accept a motion. We've got a motion from Senator Spearman. Is there a second? Second from Senator Pizzina. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor, aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? All right, that one passes unanimously. Senator Hansen, we'll give you the floor statement, sir.
Chair Harris, the next item on the work session agenda is Senate Bill 27, which revises provisions relating to excavations in areas containing subsurface installations and is sponsored by the Senate Committee on Health and Human Services on behalf of the Public Utilities Commission of Nevada. This bill was heard by the committee on March 15th. It revises provisions governing excavations in areas known or reasonably known to contain a subsurface installation. This bill expands the definition of excavation to include the movement or removal of earth and rock and replaces the term hand tools with the defined term non-mechanical equipment. There was an amendment proposed by the PUCN to revise the definition of emergency to include an underground leak or a situation in which an excavation is imminent.
All right, thank you. Any questions from members on this bill? Okay, I'll accept a motion. Motion from Senator Spearman. Second from Senator Pizzina. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor, aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? Okay, motion passes unanimously.
Chair Harris, the next item is Senate Bill 205, which revises provisions relating to the registration of off-highway vehicles and is sponsored by Senator Hansen, Stone Titus, and Goycochea. It was heard by this committee on March 27th. It revises the annual registration of certain off-highway vehicles with the Department of Motor Vehicles to instead be required every 3 years. An amendment in conceptual form was proposed by Senator Hansen to allow a person who is registering an off-highway vehicle the option to choose whether to register for 1 or 3 years, providing for the fees and amending sections of NRS to provide that registered or certified vehicle in another state is not required to register in Nevada reciprocity. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I'll sign the floor statement. Thank you for the reminder, Senator Bezina, for number 20, Senate Bill 27 to myself. Any questions on Senate Bill 205 from members? Okay, not seeing any, I'll accept a motion.
Amended do pass.
All right, we've got an amended do pass from Senator Hansen. Is there a second? Second from Senator Spearman. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor, aye. Any opposed, nay? All right, oh, we've got one nay. Oh, okay, he's just kidding. Motion passes unanimously. And we'll sign the floor statement to Senator Hansen. Okay, if you hadn't noticed, I'm moving a little quicker than I usually do, and it's because I have 4 bills to present. So I'm going to turn it over to Senator Spearman for the rest of the meeting. Thank you, Vice Chair.
Okay, so we will start in order. Senate Bill 281 revises provisions governing natural gas utilities. Who do we have? Okay, Scott?
Scott Leadon for the record. Senator Nguyen wanted to present this bill, and I don't see her yet, so. Oh, is she? Okay. I'll go grab her then.
Okay. Here she is. Dun, 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 dun. You're up.
We've been waiting 10 minutes, so
No, just begin when you're ready. I'm not her, but I'm Vice. Is that okay? Okay.
Good afternoon, Chair and Vice Chair and members of the committee. My name is Rochelle Nguyen, and I represent Senate District 3 in Las Vegas. Today, I'm here to present Senate Bill 281 for the committee's consideration. Again, we talk about the whys and what are we trying to solve and what is going on. What I heard in talking to people across the board in the community and watching some of other bills process in previous sessions is that we all like transparency. We all want to have a voice in this building. We want to have a voice not only in this building, but in other buildings and other agencies and with other regulations and with other boards and commissions. And that's kind of where I used this bill as a starting place. This bill creates a fair and open planning process with the Public Utilities Commission of Nevada that natural gas utilities in the state would be required to undergo every 3 years. This is similar to the Integrated Resource Planning or IRP process that electric utilities are already required to go through. And this bill would require natural gas utilities to file as a part of this plan. And as a part of this plan, what they would be specifically required to file is present and projected changes in the demand for natural gas, identification and approval of any significant projects and investments in the utility plans to pursue over the next 3 years, energy efficiency and load management programs, renewable energy initiatives, and low carbon fuel initiatives. Senate Bill 281 would also require the PUC to convene a public hearing on the adequacy of the plan with all interested stakeholders and members of the public having an opportunity to participate in this process. During the past legislative interim, the PUC opened an investigatory docket that evaluated the future of natural gas in Nevada. And as a part of that process, many different stakeholders asked for natural gas utilities to be subject to the same type of planning process that other electric utilities undertake. This bill is intended to be responsive to those requests and establish a process and a forum for discussing natural gas infrastructure and future investments that does not currently exist today. That's why you will see a diverse group of interest groups supporting this piece of legislation. Senate Bill 281 increases transparency around natural gas infrastructure investments and provides an appropriate venue for all stakeholders to participate in and provide feedback to utility regulators on the need for future natural gas investments and ensuring that those needs are met with the lowest reasonable cost to customers. It also creates a pathway for natural gas utilities to submit proposals to their customers and policymakers to obtain climate and greenhouse gas reduction goals through energy efficiency and load management programs, renewable energy initiatives, and low carbon fuel initiatives. Again, I'm really yesterday I would have said that I regretted this, but today I'm very proud of the work that went into getting where we are here today on this bill. And probably that mix of emotions is represented in the diverse number of people that we were able to bring together to have this important conversation. There is a proposed amendment. Hopefully it was uploaded to Nellis. I think I saw it on the way in, and that is kind of where I'm working from here today. And I will walk you through that bill momentarily and be available for questions. I believe we have some people here from the PUC. Raise your hand, raise your hand. Oh, yeah, there we go. And I believe we have a representative also or a couple from Southwest Gas. Raise your hand, raise your hand. That would be available to answer any questions. I thought it was important to have the people that were going to have to implement any policy if this bill was to go forward here to answer any questions about what that takes, what they currently do with other utilities in their planning process, and what this might look like, as well as the industry that we are looking to be a part of this process that normally doesn't have this process in place. The amendments, with your indulgence, Vice Chair, I will kind of go through some of that stuff if that's okay with you at this time. So if I can just go through. If you look at sections 1 through 10 of the bill, they're mostly definitions that set forth terms that will be used in the filing of the planning process. One of the definitions that I probably want to bring to your attention are those definitions that are contained in section 10. There are some definitions that are throughout this bill that some things are defined, and as you can find out if you want to ask more questions from the PUC, a lot of definitions that are not included could be promulgated through the regulatory rulemaking process with the PUC. So they could come up with those rules or those definitions and those terms that they think are appropriate that need to be added into consideration into this bill. Additionally, one of the things that we look at is the Section 10 definition of what qualifies as significant project or investment that would be included in the filing for the natural gas utilities when they're doing their filing to the PUC. And we settled on a threshold of $10 million. And the reason I came up with that, there were some suggestions for other numbers. Most of them, honestly, were kind of arbitrary, and this was one that, with the help of the PUC, we tied it to other regulatory numbers that were set at a similar number at 10 million. The last thing that I wanted to do, and my intention, and I think that most of the committee would agree, is if we set it too low, people would constantly be going back and it would start to encumber construction projects and other things if we had to come back and they had to submit a plan for things that were under that $10 million threshold. So that's the base of that. Other significant projects that would be required to be filed would include and could include things like natural gas expansion projects, pipeline replacement projects, any other type of pursuit of any other type of renewable gas products, including hydrogen and other things would be included in this process. And so that kind of starts us there. If we go to section 11 of the bill, This outlines the process that the PUC must go through to determine the adequacy of the plan, including conveying a public process that is open to all interested parties. Again, I want to remind the members of this committee is currently there is no public input process for that transparency, for the ability for the public to come in and talk about their support or objections or concerns about any of these projects. And this would bring that into line and have a place for the public to participate if they so chose to do so. Section 12 of the bill establishes a timeframe by which they must set those applications. Again, these are consistent, and we've been working with the PUC to see what is appropriate as far as what those timelines might look like. Section 13 states that a natural gas utility cannot file a general rate case application 6 months before or after they file a plan as a part of this process. So there are consumer protection issues that are guiding this as well. Again, Section 4 outlines that the plan must include what else the components the plan must include. And it includes current and future demand forecasting significant projects, like I had mentioned before. And we included an assessment for opportunities for low carbon fuels, pipeline reliability, storage, greenhouse gas emission reductions, and other types of things that I think are consistent with where we're trying to go. Section 15 is some clean up language in existing statute, and Section 16 requires the PUC to adopt regulations necessary to carry out these provisions of the bill. So as I had talked about before, anything where there's missing a definition, they can use the rulemaking and that process to define things further. As done by this. We did delete some sections, like I said, again, section 17 and 18 were deleted by the amendment as we didn't think they were needed. And again, section 19 makes this bill effective upon passage and approval. And with that, I would like to call up if the committee has any questions for the PUC or Southwest Gas. I know that they are available and can answer all of those questions you might have.
Thank you. And so you all can come up, take the 2 seats. So let's get some PUC. While they're doing that, I just need to go over a couple of housekeeping items that we didn't do initially. If you got a phone, please turn it off, turn it on mute, so that it doesn't interrupt the testimony. If you're testifying, please sign in at the table by the door and give the committee secretary your card. When you're testifying, turn the microphone on. When you stop, turn it off. Make sure you speak clearly so that people can hear and understand you. And at the end of this meeting, we will have public comment that is 2 minutes per person. And so I think that got all the housekeeping. Okay, all right.
And Rochelle Wynn, for the record, just to clarify, consistent with the executive branch policy and other regulatory agencies, I know the PUC is appearing in neutral, but if they are called up at neutral and there are questions, I'm sure they would be available.
Committee, any questions? Senator Hansen.
Thanks, Madam Vice Chair. Actually, the question is for the PUC. Under Section 15, under current law, the commission shall adopt regulations to do most of the stuff. Seems like, are they just not doing this currently? Or none of this is in a public, I mean, all their meetings are public, aren't they? I'm kind of wondering what they're not doing now that we're trying to correct. I see where you're trying to expand it a little bit.
Their meetings are public, but the natural
Name
gas.
for the record?
Oh. Rochelle Wood, for the record. They do have these processes in place for electric utilities. They do not have this process in place for natural gas utilities.
Okay, well, that answers my question then, because I was kind of like, as far as I knew, they were doing all this already in a public format, but with natural gas, that's not the case. Huh, okay, interesting.
Scott Leadham, Southwest Gas, for the record. I would say also when we file general rate cases, that's another opportunity for the public or other interested stakeholders to come in and comment on, you know, our proposed rate increase. But absent those types of processes, yeah, the process where we would file a plan with the commission and have them review our investments over the next 3 years doesn't currently exist. So it's an additional process, as the senator pointed out, creates more transparency and opportunities for the public to weigh in.
Good. Last question. How the heck did you get in the middle of this one?
Senator Chris Brooks is,
Okay.
I'm gonna
I was
blame my
gonna say,
predecessor.
This is not something that a criminal defense attorney normally gets in the middle of. So thank you, Madam Vice Chair.
Rochelle Wood, for the record. I like challenges.
Additional questions, committee? No? Okay. Senator Nguyen, you have anybody else who's going to present?
No, I think we have just people they can make their presentation in support or opposition.
Okay. Okay, so we will open up the hearing now for public testimony, those in support. I don't see anyone down in Las Vegas, but if you're down there and can hear my voice, there are 2 chairs at the table, so please come on over and sit at those chairs. There are 3 chairs up here. Okay, we'll start
Madam
right
Vice
here.
Chair.
Start here in Carson City. Yes, please begin.
Madam Vice Chair, Scott Leadham, Southwest Gas for the record. I don't want to belabor the point. I think you all know we are in support of this bill for many reasons, and all of which the Senator Nguyen outlined. We think this is a good bill. We think it's a fair process. We've done a lot of work on it. Really appreciate the Senator's work on this with us and the many interested stakeholders, and just would really appreciate the committee's consideration of this bill. So thank you very much.
Madam Vice Chair and Committee, my name is Jordan Crane-Buell. I'm with the Plumbing, Heating, Cooling Contractors of Nevada, speaking in favor of Senate Bill 281 as amended. We believe Senate Bill 281 as amended creates a fair and open planning process for the benefit of all stakeholders regarding gas utility infrastructure planning and investments in Nevada. Thank you for your time.
Good afternoon, everybody. Tom Worley for the record, representing Laborers Local 872 and Laborers Local 169 in Reno, and we are in support. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Madam Vice Chair and members of the committee. Greg Esposito, representing the Nevada State Pipe Trades. Truly appreciate the senator picking this up from the former Senator Chris Brooks. We are in support. This is going to be a great bill for creating jobs. Thank you.
Good afternoon. For the record, Danny Thompson, representing the Operating Engineers Local 3 and the Operating Engineers Local 12. We're here today in support of this bill. We believe that the plan will promote transparency and accountability. In addition, we believe it's good for the economy and will create jobs. Thank you very much. Urge your support.
Good afternoon, Vice Chairman and Vice Chair Spearman and members of the committee. My name is Nick Schneider, representing the Vegas Chamber, and we are in support of SB 281. I want to echo the points made before about increased transparency, as well as looking forward to an energy future that we can look forward to with gas. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Vice Chair Spearman and members of the committee. For the record, Dan Morgan on behalf of the Builders Association of Northern Nevada and the Nevada Home Builders Association. We are in support of SB 281 as it will ensure residents and homeowners of Nevada have access to safe, reliable, affordable, and sustainable energy. It will also ensure that those same Nevada residents and homeowners are not burdened with unnecessary investment in natural gas infrastructure. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll go down to Las Vegas, and then we'll come back up to Carson City. Las Vegas?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members of the committee, Amber Stidham with the Las Vegas Global Economic Alliance. We are the Regional Economic Development Authority for the Greater Vegas region. We are also in support of this bill. We believe at LVGEA that energy use strategy for Nevada should include the continued use of natural gas as a reliable, accessible, and affordable energy, as well as other electrical and renewable energy sources that are critical to sustaining our economic growth and vitality. All of these efforts are important to economic development. More importantly, relative to this bill, the ability to offer energy options like natural gas and the certainty of those options through these transparent processes that are being presented through this bill work to support our community's growth, and we believe are essential in economic development. We thank Assemblywoman Nguyen for bringing this proposal forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Back up here to Carson City.
Thank you, Vice Chair and members of the committee. Jake McNeil for the record, JakeMcNeill. I'm here as a member of Labor's Local 169 and representing Labor's Local 169, and we're in support of this bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members of the committee, Glenn Levitt with the Nevada Contractors Association. The Nevada Contractors Association is in support of this bill. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chase Whittemore for the record, representing Nevada Builders Alliance, and we are also in support.
Thank you. I want to take a pause now. BPS, do we have anyone on the phone for support?
Callers, if you would like to testify in support for Senate Bill 281, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue.
Good afternoon. My name is Kelly Trombley, and I lead our state policy work in Nevada with Ceres. Ceres runs the BICEP Network, which is a coalition of over 80 major employers, large electricity customers, leading consumer brands, and Fortune 500s, many with operations here in Nevada. Our members, like many leading businesses in Nevada and nationwide, have set goals to cut emissions, invest in clean energy, and reduce energy use. Gas investment and infrastructure planning helps the companies that we represent to ensure that their energy needs are met while meeting their sustainability goals, and it helps utilities ensure that they make decisions to serve the complex needs of Nevada's growing technology and energy-intensive industries. So we respectfully comment today in support of Senate Bill 281, specifically the concept of gas investment and infrastructure planning, given the imperative to take action to address Nevada's energy future, high and unpredictable gas costs, and address emissions that threaten public health. We also believe that a strengthened commitment to planning would benefit Nevada's people and its economy. We respectfully recommend that the bill consider that given these preferences and commitments of Nevada businesses for clean energy, long-term predictability, and cost savings, we believe the $10 million cost threshold may be too high to capture investments where there may be cost-effective alternatives, potentially locking in substantial cost and emissions. So as Nevada stakes its economic future on its approach to energy, we do look forward to working with you on policies that establish this transparency, planning, competition, and reliability in both access and cost. So please don't hesitate to be in touch if you have any questions about the perspectives of our company members, and I thank you for your time.
One moment, Chair.
Vice Chair Spearman and members of the committee, my name is Nick Christensen. I'm a volunteer member of the Sierra Club's Nevada Legislative Committee. On behalf of the club and our members and supporters statewide, I'm speaking in support of SB 281. We believe that it's in the best interest of the people of Nevada for our utilities to publicly plan for our future through an integrated resource plan IRP process. We are pleased to see that under this bill, Nevada's methane utilities would participate in this process. It also appears to us that these requirements directly parallel those provisions for electrical utilities, which we also feel are entirely appropriate. The one section where we can't find a direct parallel to the language as it applies to electrical utilities is in Section 12.3 of the bill on the remuneration of costs associated with implementing such a plan. Perhaps it's in the NRS and we just missed it, and if so, I apologize. We believe it is entirely appropriate for our utilities to be compensated for their actual costs, including those for generating an IRP, but we believe that this accounting should be examined and approved by the PUCN. And if this is what the wording in Section 12, subsection 3 intends, then we agree with it. If not, then we hope that it could be clarified. We do agree, though, that it is proper for methane utilities to undergo an IRP process as described in this document, and consequently, we support this bill. Thank you for your time.
Chair, there are no more callers choosing to testify in support at this time.
Thank you. So we'll come back up to Carson City.
Madam Chair, for the record, Danny Thompson again. I apologize. I failed to mention that IBW 396 and IBW 1245 support the bill as well. Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Committee, for the record, my name is Terry Graves, representing today the Nevada Trucking Association, Nevada Manufacturing Association. To the extent that there are trucking companies that do use compressed natural gas to fuel their vehicles, and to the extent that manufacturing operations also use natural gas not only for heating but thermal heating as well as feedstock for some chemical operations. And we think this bill will lend stability to the regulatory process for natural gas. Thank you.
Vice Chair and members of the committee, my name is Jane Amone, and I'm the External Affairs Director for the Nature Conservancy in Nevada. The Nature Conservancy supports Senate Bill 281. Climate change is the biggest threat to our mission, which is to conserve the lands and waters on which all life depends. As an organization, we are united in doing what we can to mitigate and adapt to climate change, and we support policies that will help us ensure global warming stays below 1.5 degrees C. We support Senate Bill 821 because we feel that natural gas supply planning is an important component of achieving our climate goals. Additionally, we appreciate that Senate Bill 821 includes a definition for carbon capture and storage. For the past several years, the Nature Conservancy has been working to understand how Nevada can achieve net zero emissions by 2050. We commissioned a carbon management modeling for Nevada with the Clean Energy Conversion Lab at the University of Pennsylvania. The findings from that analysis revealed that technologies for removing carbon dioxide from point source or by direct air capture are necessary to achieving net zero emissions. We have a few suggested revisions to the definition for carbon capture and storage in Section 3. We've shared those with the bill sponsor, and we appreciate those ongoing conversations. Thank you to Senator Wynn for bringing this bill forward, and thank you for hearing our support testimony.
Thank you. You said 821. Do you mean 281?
I'm sorry.
281. You said 821.
Oh, I'm sorry. Senate Bill 281.
It's okay. I just want to make sure for the record, okay? Okay.
Thank you.
No problem.
Good afternoon, Vice Chair and members of the committee. For the record, Jessica Ferrato here today on behalf of Advanced Energy United. United is an industry association comprised of businesses dedicated to making the energy we use clean, affordable, and reliable. We are here in support of 281 today. At United, we believe that long-term utility infrastructure and resource planning is key to creating the most affordable, reliable, and sustainable energy system possible. That is why we are here in support of electric utility integrated resource planning, distributed resource planning, and transportation electrification planning in the past. But as we have built these processes for electric utilities over the past several decades, gas utilities have remained largely unaffected. Today, the gas industry is entering a period of rapid change marked by new customer choices, federal, state, county, and local policies, and technologies and resource options on both the supply and demand side that will affect the kinds of infrastructure we build and who we build it for. Because the infrastructure has significant costs and because ratepayers pay off those costs over decades, a sound and transparent planning process that compares investment options is the only way to ensure that the money ratepayers spend is spent wisely. The legislation before you is a product of months of conversation and compromise between Nevada's gas utilities and stakeholders representing all interests. It represents the beginning of a conversation about sound planning for Nevada's future. While we are open to continuing discussing ways to strengthen the concept, we believe that this is an important improvement over the status quo for both NV Energy and Southwest Gas and ask for your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Christy Cabrera-Georgeson, and I'm the Deputy Director of the Nevada Conservation League. We're here in support of SB 281, and we'd like to thank the bill sponsor for working with us and other stakeholders. We know this has been a long process, and we appreciate her being open to feedback and conversations. Establishing an IRP for gas utilities will help provide long-term planning and more transparency on future investments in the gas system, as well as helping ensure the best interests of ratepayers are considered. While we are supportive of the bill, we think that there are additional changes that could be made to make it stronger. The bill sponsor has committed to continuing to work on this legislation with us and address some of the environmental concerns. We look forward to having additional conversations, and we thank you for your time.
Thank you. Did I see someone in Las Vegas that wanted to testify in support? I saw someone. Okay. VPS, anyone else on the phone in support?
Chair, there are no callers for support at this time.
Thank you. So we'll move now to testimony in opposition. Senate Bill 281. here in Carson. Opposition in Las Vegas. BPS, anyone on the phones?
If you'd like to testify in opposition on SB 281, please press star 9 on your phone to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no callers for opposition at this time.
Thank you. So we'll move now to neutral. Anyone here in Carson City, neutral? Anyone in Las Vegas? Welcome and begin when you're ready.
Hi. Thank you so much. My name is Jamarion Williams, and I am the Government Affairs Manager for Western Resource Advocates. I am speaking today to state WRA's neutrality to Senate Bill 281. I want to thank Senator Nguyen for involving our organization in the discussions on this bill. WRA is very supportive of this bill sponsor's intent to establish a gas integrated resource plan for Nevada's utility companies. It is much needed for our state. We would like to be able to continue to work with the bill sponsor to fine-tune the language. We still have some concerns about a few aspects of the bill. We feel that the section of the bill defining terms needs additions to account for non-pipeline alternatives, and would like to discuss the consideration of alternatives in the process. That being said, the bill in front of you is a step forward for Nevada and will help us responsibly plan our energy future. Nevada needs to reduce our reliance on natural gas and explore solutions that will help our state meet the emissions reduction goals that we have set. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. We'll come back up to Carson City.
Thank you. For the record, Garrett Weir, General Counsel for the Public Utilities Commission. I'd like to begin by expressing our appreciation for the early outreach and engagement from Senator Nguyen and also Southwest Gas's substantial work in incorporating our input regarding this bill. As Senator Nguyen explained, this bill establishes a helpful planning process that allows the PUCN to scrutinize significant utility expenditures before they're made and before the utility requests recovery of the costs via rates charged to customers. It also provides a single forum for review of investments associated with existing programs where we are currently reviewing those expenditures or those plans separately. Senator Nguyen has already walked through the bill, but I make myself available to answer any questions regarding the PUC's implementation of this proposal.
Thank you. Committee, questions? Senator Hansen.
Thanks, Madam Vice Chair. I know we're not a financial committee, but how much is this going to expand costs for consumers, if at all?
For the record, Garrett Weir with the Public Utilities Commission. Ideally, it's going to result in more cost-effective practices. We're going to scrutinize the cost-effectiveness of utility planning on the front end, and that will hopefully result in a reduction in costs borne by ratepayers.
An even better answer. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Vice Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair and committee members. For the record, Scott Gillis with the Griffin Company, representing Natural Resources Defense Council. I also want to start off by thanking Senator Nguyen for her hard work on this bill. This is a tough topic, and she's been willing to work with all parties and accept feedback going, prior to when this session began. So we appreciate that, and we appreciate the ongoing work with involved stakeholders. At this time, NRDC is in neutral and can't support the bill with the conceptual amendments that the senator spoke to this afternoon in her presentation. She has promised, and we have agreed to continue to work with her and the other stakeholders with the hope that this bill can evolve to a position where NRDC can stand up and support it without any concerns at all. NRDC's suggestions for changes to the bill have remained consistent throughout this process. We've ultimately, we do support the end goal of this bill. The end goal of this bill is worth this effort in our position. We do think this will improve natural gas planning process, and ultimately are grateful that we're included in the conversation and hope we can get to a place of supporting the bill. Specifically, I'll note NRDC, we'd like to see the language in Section 14, subsection 1 of the bill changed back to the version that was introduced with the bill, reverting to that original language. NRDC does not support that the definition of significant operational or capital requirements in this definition in Section 10, that it continues to be tied to activities anticipated to cost more than $10 million. We think that threshold is too high and will result in significant projects not having to be included in this resource planning process. Finally, NRDC would like to see many of the definitions that are included in the bill as amended and as written to either be removed and let the PUC, through their rulemaking process, create these definitions and define the process that they're going to work through. If the definitions are going to stay, we'd like to see some additional pieces added to the bill, including and not limited to a definition of beneficial electrification.
Thank you.
With that, thank you to Senator Wynn, and we'll continue to work with her. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. I'm sorry we had 2 minutes and yeah, okay. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Madam Chair and members of the committee. My name is Angie Dykema, and I'm here on behalf of SWEEP, the Southwest Energy Efficiency Project. We'd like to thank the bill sponsor for bringing this bill forward, and we believe that subjecting gas utilities to the same or similar planning requirements as electric utilities is an important extension of utility regulation to provide greater transparency for gas system planning. With the new amendment, we do have a few concerns that we'd like to continue working with the sponsor on, including extending the planning horizon and moving the definitions, amongst some other things. We welcome the opportunity to continue working on this bill and address the concerns raised here. Thank you.
Thank you. BPS, anyone on the phones neutral?
If you'd like to testify in neutral on SB 281, please press star 9 on your phone to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no callers for neutral at this time.
Thank you. Going to ask the bill sponsor, no close comments? Okay, so we will close the hearing now on Senate Bill 281, and we'll open the hearing on Senate Bill 338, revises provisions relating to off-highway vehicles. Welcome, Senator Flores. Begin when you're ready.
Good afternoon, Madam Vice Chair, esteemed colleagues. I am Senator Edgar Flores, proudly representing Senate District 2, Northeast Las Vegas. And like very often we try to work with everybody, and I make that point because in the interest of doing that, I've amended and gutted my entire bill. But I wanted to say a couple of things before I go into the amendment, which is very short. This bill specifically, I am doing in after having a conversation with the off-roading community, OHV community, but typically we proudly refer to ourselves as off-roading community. I am personally a member of that community. It is how I get away from the noise, the city, and we very much enjoy off-roading, go to the top of some mountain, conquer some rock, etc. I say that because we, in October, had a huge meeting in Apex, and there was about 600 of us there. And there's a huge interest from folk that we addressed 3 issues. And the first issue was creating a state that is more welcoming to the off-roading community, the OHV community. That was the first request. And the way we do that was creating some type of relationship where county roads and city streets could be utilized to access off-roading trails. And that was the first big ask. The second big ask was for clarity. They don't know when they're in compliance and when they're not while on a county road or a city street. Obviously, different jurisdictional boundaries create different dilemmas. And the third request was also for clarity in terms of how do you register these vehicles? How do I make sure that I know if I need a driver's license or not, et cetera, et cetera. And so I sought out to address two of those issues. The first was to really work with the community on trying to identify if there was a way for us to create a relationship with the state and that we identify county roads or city streets to do that. And then the second thing was that we created a more transparent process so that the off-roading community would know where they're allowed to operate them. And so my original bill, Senate Bill 338, was kind of our wish bill. It's what we wanted to do. We wanted to remove it from the local jurisdictions. We wanted to create our own boundaries. We wanted kind of to set it all. We wanted to make them street legal. And that's ultimately the objective. But it was unfair because, number one, I had not had an opportunity to sit down with all the local jurisdictions. I did not sit down with the DMV, and I did not sit down with the appropriate boards and commissions. And so I thought it was too aggressive of an approach without having given them a genuine opportunity to have a meaningful conversation. And so the reason you're looking at this very short amendment and why we still think it addresses a lot of that and it starts the conversation in the right direction is after I met with the DMV, I learned that under NRS 490.034, we have something called the large all-terrain definition. Presently, right now, if I own a side-by-side, and typically I'm referring to Razors, Can-Ams, they're two-seater or four-seater, I can go to the DMV now under NRS 490.043, and if it falls under that definition, they'll give you a decal at the DMV. And it has a star on it, and what that sticker says, in essence, to the law enforcement is, this vehicle is insured. As an exhibit, we've provided what that looks like for the DMV. I believe it's uploaded to Nellis, but that already exists. And so the DMV said, rather than creating a whole new definition, as I originally had in my bill, they said, why not just make it easier so that an individual that has a two-seater or four-seater side-by-side can get that decal, make it abundantly clear to law enforcement, yes, this individual is insured, but allow the local jurisdictions to continue to set those boundaries of what streets and county roads you can access. Northern Nevada has a very different relationship with our OHV community than Southern Nevada. In Northern Nevada, there's some local jurisdictions where you can pretty much operate and utilize your OHV everywhere. And that sounds like a beautiful poem to me, because that is contrary to what is happening in Southern Nevada. Very often the community gets harassed. Very often the community gets questioned and ticketed because, again, they're trying to drive from their home to some trail and they're not supposed to do it. So there's just a lot of ambiguity. And just for the sake of clarity, folk might be asking themselves why this matters. Why do we care? Why do we want them on our roads? Why do they want to be at a county road or a city street? If I could just kind of, for those of you who don't participate in the off-roading community, anytime you want to take your side-by-side out there, what you typically do, and I am a perfect example, I live about 8 minutes away from an off-roading trail. And when I go out there, I have to put my side-by-side on a flatbed or a trailer, tie that up to my Jeep or a truck. That's a 30-minute process, tie everything down. Now I'm on the road along other vehicles, towing something, which I think is dangerous, to drive 8 minutes, unload, drive for 2-3 hours, load it back up, takes me another 30-40 minutes to do that, drive 8 minutes and get home. So for efficiency purposes, that would be the ideal scenario where maybe I could jump on that road and access the off-roading trail rather than having to do that. That is one scenario that we're trying to address. I also think that it's less dangerous for me to be on a side-by-side on the road, drive 8 minutes, than it is for me to be towing something on a trailer for 8 minutes. I think that's more dangerous, and that's more prone to accidents. The second reason is when you go off-roading and you drop off, you leave your truck and your trailer somewhere, and you go off for 2-3 hours, you leave all your personal belongings there. Off-roading is a very expensive hobby. It is, for some folk, a form of lifestyle, but these things cost anywhere between $40,000 and $80,000, depending on how much money you've invested into them. And I make that point only to make it abundantly clear that people that are preying on this community, because they know that you're leaving 4 or 5 trucks behind. You'll come back, and it happened to us. 8 vehicles were broken into. They smashed all the windows out. They took all the tools, and a bunch of stuff happened. But that only happened because we left everything out there, and people know that you have to leave it somewhere in the middle of the desert because everybody's out riding. So that's the second thing we're trying to prevent. And so I just wanted to make it clear why there's so much kind of enthusiasm and why the community has been asking for this. So in an interest of working with everybody, we got rid of the entire bill. The local jurisdictions will maintain the power to decide what streets, what roads are going to allow for folk to utilize to access these trails. And I hope, because we've all agreed to, and the consensus is that they would all come up and make that commitment, that in the next 2 years, our local jurisdictions are going to, particularly in Southern Nevada, because that's where, unfortunately, there isn't that relationship yet, they're going to commit to identifying more roads and more streets for the off-roading community to utilize to access these trails. That's the first commitment. And the second commitment is that on their websites, that we're going to make it abundantly clear and accessible for the off-roading community to be able to log in and say, all right, perfect, these are the designated trails, these are the roads, these are the streets I can be on, and that we're all in compliance in that way. I think if we all work collaboratively in that manner, I don't have to have this overly burdensome bill that I try to do everything myself. And I think it allows us all of us to work together. Now, if that doesn't happen, then I'll be right back here in 2 years. And then the same exact bill will be in front of you. And then we do that dance. But at least I can say I did my due diligence in trying to work with everybody. We gave it 2 years, honest effort. And if that doesn't happen, then we go in a different direction. So that's why we have this bill. And just very quickly, NRS 490.043 reads, large all-terrain vehicle means any all-terrain vehicle that includes seating capacity for at least 2 people abreast. And all that's saying is we want to make sure that 2 humans are sitting alongside of each other. The original bill from 2013 proposed by, at the time, Senator Goycochea and Chairman Ellison in the Assembly, they were trying to avoid the scenario where you have individuals, and you'll see this in some of these ATVs, where 3 or 4 people would jump on behind each other and they'd give each other rides. That's not what they were trying to capture. They were really trying to capture the side-by-side, which is what we call now, which is why that language is there. And it set a total sitting capacity for 4, but as I previously mentioned, there is now side-by-sides very commonly used, and they're 2-seaters, not 4. So that's why we removed subsection 1 and 2. To make it abundantly clear that it's all-encompassing. And the idea is, and just for the record to be abundantly clear, and the DMV has agreed to this, is that side-by-side owners are going to go to the DMV, are going to, I have uploaded the form, they're going to provide this large all-terrain vehicle insurance declaration to the DMV, and they're going to be able to get this decal on their vehicle, on their side-by-side, that will allow them to utilize some of our roads and streets. And with that, Madam Chair, I will open it for any questions, although I don't know that we have any. But if not, then I would like to hand it over for those in support, and they can speak to as what their local jurisdictions intend to do.
Thank you. Committee, questions? Senator Hansen.
Thanks, Madam Vice Chair. More of a comment than a question. First, I want to thank you. You know, I just had my OHV bill work session, so I want to thank you for not amending mine back into yours. We discussed that earlier. Also, I'm looking forward to you. You know, you'd be so welcome in Lovelock, Battle Mountain, Winnemucca. You could go right down the road and right out in all that beautiful, wide open public domain. So if you want to come visit my district, we'd love to have you. Thank you, Madam Vice Chair.
Thank you. Additional questions? So we'll open it up now for those in support of Senate Bill 338.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair, members of the committee. For the record, Kelly Crompton representing the City of Las Vegas. I'd like to thank the Senator for reaching out to us and working with us on this bill. We appreciate adding local government be able to restore the ability to maintain safe roadways within our jurisdiction. I will say that the City of Las Vegas already has the component on our website that he's talking about. We very much have a public recreation forward-facing website on our website that identifies trails and things of that nature. So we are happy to add this to that website. I also would just like to, and I couldn't catch him before his busy committee back in government affairs. So the City of Las Vegas is very much open to helping to convene some conversations with amongst the local jurisdictions, the stakeholders, the senator, and also I think a very important jurisdiction for us is the BLM, because the city is landlocked and a lot of those open areas are BLM land. So making sure that we can discuss with the BLM how we can make sure that we have enough of these safe spaces for these vehicles. Thank you.
Vice Chair Spearman, for the record, Leonardo Benavides, Government Affairs Manager for the City of North Las Vegas. I just want to echo the sentiments of my colleague from Las Vegas. We want to thank Senator Flores for working with the local jurisdictions on this and also commit to working as well with the community and the stakeholders over the next 2 years to make sure that this is possible. Thank you.
Good evening, Vice Chair Spearman and committee members. My name is Adrian Hunt, ADRIANHUNT. I am representing Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department. We're in support of SB 338, helping to make traffic safety stronger in Nevada. We appreciate Senator Flores bringing this bill forward overall for safety. Thank you.
Hello, committee. Ashley Garza Kennedy representing Clark County, and just want to ditto what my local government colleagues have said, and we thank Senator Flores for working with us, and we are supportive of the bill as amended. In Clark County, we currently do have an ordinance that allows OHVs to operate on certain roads, public roads, for that very point as access points to get to OHV areas, and we are currently working through kind of a rewrite of that section of our ordinance, and looking forward to making sure that that information of where you can go with your OHV is readily available on our website, and appreciate the senator. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Vice Chair, members of the committee. For the record, David Cherry, Government Affairs Manager for the City of Henderson. I think that everything's been said, but not everybody said it, so I'm up here to ditto my colleagues. I think Ms. Crompton was very eloquent in her description of how appreciative we are of Senator Flores working with us as local governments, allowing us to maintain the decision-making over our streets where the off-road community is seeking to utilize, and we're committed to engaging in those stakeholder meetings that he's asked us to have. We love providing recreational opportunities for the residents of our community and for those who visit Henderson, and so we think we can make this work for everybody involved. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Vice Chair and members of the committee. For the record, Mary Walker, representing Douglas, Lyons, Story, and Eureka County. And we support this with the amendment, and we thank the senator very much for working with local governments. Thank you.
Thank you. Is anyone in Las Vegas support? Don't see anyone. BPS, anyone on the phones?
If you would like to testify in support on SB 338, please press star 9 on your phone to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no callers in support at this time.
Okay, thank you. So we'll move now to testimony in opposition. Here in Carson City, anyone in opposition? In Las Vegas? Don't see anyone. BPS, anyone on the phones in opposition?
If you would like to testify in opposition on SB 338, please press star 9 on your phone to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no callers for opposition at this time.
Okay, thank you. Someone just walked to the desk here in Carson City. Opposition?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Sorry I didn't hear hearing aids that you had called us up. My name is Matthew Giltner. I am the Executive Director of Nevada's Off-Road Association. I'm kind of on the fence. I love the amendments that were made to give the local community the opportunity to retain that authority. A little disappointing because I was expecting to be able to ride my OHV down the Vegas Strip, but we will adapt. My concern and why I am still on the opposed side of the fence is that, well, I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. The Nevada Off-Road Association is Nevada's statewide nonprofit 501c3, specifically chartered to bridge the gap between all stakeholders in motorized off-road recreation. A lot of the stakeholder conversations of the folks that had spoke in support, we need to be part of that conversation. We represent the better than 50,000 registered OHVs within the state. The OHV community adds more than $120 million a year to the state of Nevada, just in their economic inputs. Pretty big deal. I really wish we could be supportive of the bill as written. The problem is that we have now removed part of that 490043, the two subcategory 1 and 2, the seating capacity and truck bed, which doesn't really do a whole lot. What I would encourage the bill sponsor, and I will work with you all day long, why don't we just use the same standard that everybody else in America is using? There is a standard for for OHV that breaks it down by the side by side, and I'll give it to you the specifics. A UTV is a utility task vehicle is defined as an OHV having non-straddle seating. That is the key phrase. An ATV quad, for example, has straddle seating. And that kind of gets rid of that 2 abreast, 3 abreast, 4 abreast, whatever the case may be. A recreational off-road vehicle is also an OHV that has non-straddle seating. But the difference between the UHV and the ROV is the speed limit. A UTV has its top speed of 30 miles an hour. An ROV has 30 miles an hour plus. So by the definition, by striking that paragraph 1 and paragraph 2, Barbie's Mattel Jeep would qualify as a UTV. So why don't we just use the same definitions everybody else is using? Their industry uses them, other states use them, and I propose that we could be supportive in working with the bill sponsor by going again to a UTV for that sub 30 mile an hour non-straddle seating, and an ROV as a plus 30 mile an hour non-straddle seating, and the ATV, which would be the quad, would be the straddle seating version as well. Some of those are 2-seat as well.
Thank you, sir. Can
You bet.
You submit the rest of it in writing?
I'm sorry?
You can submit the rest of it in writing?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Anyone else in opposition? BPS, anyone in opposition on the phones?
If you'd like to testify in opposition on SB 338, please press star 9 on your phone to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no callers for opposition at this time.
Thank you. We'll open it up for those who want to testify neutral. Here, and I don't see anyone in Las Vegas. And I keep forgetting to say this, but if you could limit your testimony to 2 minutes, then I won't get in trouble.
Good afternoon, Madam Vice Chair and Commission. Maurice White, Carson City. I am the chairman of the Nevada Commission on OHV. I speak to you today in that capacity and not in any other capacity I may represent at other times. The Commission appreciates the conceptual amendment as it preserves the intent of the legislation that created the Commission and the program. As amended, this bill, however, provides a definition that is far too broad and could be interpreted to include amusement park go-karts and other vehicles not suited for road use. The Commission encourages Senator Flores to engage the OHV program and the OHV Commission to craft a definition that will provide continuity with other NRS, NAC, and ensure that only appropriate vehicles are operated on Nevada roads. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Vice Chair, members of the committee. My name is Nikhil Narkade, and I serve as a management analyst in the Nevada Off-Highway Vehicles Program. The program's neutral regarding Senate Bill 338. With the recent amendment, we look forward to working with the bill sponsor on the language defining an all-terrain vehicle. The bill, as amended, and as you've heard, encompasses a much wider category of vehicles than currently defined. I brought a picture here that shows what a current all-terrain vehicle is described as, the red and white one here, and what would be accepted under the new definition, this yellow vehicle here. Under NRS 490.0825, this is the statute that allows large all-terrain vehicles to operate on roadways. I think that we need to look for a more succinct definition of a large all-terrain vehicle, updated from the current one in 2013, to make it so that large ATVs can operate safely within traffic with full-size trucks and cars. Thank you for your time. I'm available for any other questions.
Sean Sever from the DMV. We are neutral on the bill. We do appreciate the bill sponsor working with us on the bill and the amendment. And he's using an existing DMV process that we already have in place. This will make it much easier on the DMV as we are in the middle of our department transformation. We're happy to work with the bill sponsor further on it. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else neutral here? Don't see anyone in Las Vegas. BPS, anyone on the phones?
If you would like to testify in neutral on SB 338, please press star 9 on your phone to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no callers in neutral at this time.
Senator Flores, closing remarks.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair, Senator Flores, for the record. I do appreciate the opposition and those who spoke in opposition but were in the neutral category, which I appreciate that because I know folk don't want to create tension, but I'm okay with that. I just wanted to make it abundantly clear. Under NRS 490.043 presently, assuming I didn't change that section, the go-kart example, there could be a go-kart that seats 4 passengers. The example of the gentleman bringing in the yellow vehicle versus the red vehicle, there's go-karts that have 4 passengers now. What I'm saying is that is presently the law. That is how broadly written it is now. The mile requirement doesn't make sense because I, for example, own a vehicle that says it can go up to 120 miles an hour, but I have it souped up. It's a rock crawler. I would never do that because I would destroy that vehicle. It's made up for very specific purposes. I wouldn't drive it past 10 miles an hour. My point is putting a mile, just because it can go up to a certain miles an hour, it doesn't work. Back in 2013, this conversation was had, and they understood that, right? That when we talk about this particular section of the NRS that we're talking about, large all-terrain vehicles, they were using large all-terrain because they understood that they were trying to encompass a whole host of vehicles that aren't just OHVs that I'm talking about, which is the side-by-side, the Can-Am, the Razor. They understood that in that conversation in 2013. That's why it was written so broadly. So my point to it is, if I didn't change the law and I left it as it is now, every hypothetical they brought up already exists. Having a very slow vehicle, having something made out of plastic. I don't know what other scenarios were brought up. The other point that was completely ignored is that it has to be insured in order for that decal to be given to them. That's the whole point of this conversation, is that we want them to be insured. That's what helps law enforcement identify them on the road. They see it on the road. They see that decal. They realize that that vehicle is insured. Now, there may be an insurance company out there that is insuring 4-passenger plastic Barbie cars. I don't know of that company, but they seem to maybe know of one. And if that company exists, then maybe in that scenario, that logic would work. So I just wanted to make it abundantly clear. That's why it was written this broadly in 2013. I did not write that. But inadvertently, in the way it was written in 2014, asking for 4 passengers, what they left out was the fact that a lot of us own 2-passenger side-by-sides. And that's what we're trying to capture. And I also appreciate the fact that obviously there's a lot of people that care about this, and they've been working on this for many years. But unfortunately, in many years, we still, down south, have a very unfortunate reality, which is there's still not a good relationship between the off-highway vehicle community and the local jurisdictions. And so I'm hoping to really ignite that conversation. Everybody's welcome. Like I said, we had 600 people in the middle of the desert signing a petition. We had a lot of fun out there. We did a community cleanup afterwards. So there's a lot of folk. Everyone, this is open to anybody. My door is open to all. But that's the only reason why, unfortunately, I can't accept the conversation or the amendment, because I don't want to change it. They purposefully wrote it so broadly in 2013 to really capture some of these kind of odd, different, outside of the category of a side-by-side. But with that, Madam Vice Chair and Senator, we lost everybody else. I do thank everybody for the help, and I appreciate the conversation, and I'm incredibly appreciative to our local jurisdictions. I got a couple of text messages from off-roading community, not excited that we didn't get the bill as originally intended, but excited that there's commitment from our local jurisdictions to collaborate and work together. So I just wanted to say thank you to everybody.
Thank you. Just one quick question. If Barbie's off-road vehicle is allowed, can Ken drive it?
Senator Edgar Flores, for the record, if that vehicle exists, I personally want to drive it. If it can go up a mountain, I need to be a part of this conversation and adventure. Thank you, Madam Vice Chair.
Thank you. And with that, we'll close the hearing on Senate Bill 338 and open the hearing on Senate Bill 314. Welcome, Senator Lang.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I feel like I've been in committee hearings all day long, running from one to the next. So I'm sorry I'm a little bit tardy. So I'm going to talk to you today about Senate Bill 328. We had a bill last session on battery storage. It actually passed both houses, and there was a mistake in the bill, and so I pulled the bill. And so we're doing it again today and going to try and get it through this session again with it corrected. So, Madam Chair and members of the committee, I'm Roberta Lang, representing Senate District 7 in Clark County. Thank you for the opportunity to present Senate Bill 328 in its first reprint. The bill addresses targets for energy storage and contractor qualifications for energy storage installations.
Yeah, Senator Lang. So we have 314.
I'm sorry, I meant 314.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Sorry, I've been busy. Sorry. This bill addresses 2 issues: Nevada's increasing energy storage capacity and enduring installation of energy storage system is done safely and correctly. As you may recall, in Senate Bill 204 in the 2017 session, directed Public Utilities Commission to do a cost-benefit analysis of targets and energy storage capacity to set biennial targets if the benefit outweighs the cost. The analysis resulted in the commission setting biennial targets for 100 megawatts in 2020 and increasing up to 1,000 megawatts in 2030. Since 2018, when these targets were set, energy storage has been increasingly recognized as a critical component of efforts to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and facilitate the nation's migration to renewable energy. Other states have set goals as high as 3,000 megawatts by 2030, and due to advances in technology, have lowered costs and improved storage systems. I believe it's time to take another look at Nevada's energy storage targets. The other part of this bill focuses on qualifications needed for the installation of commercial and industry storage systems. And with that, I will turn it over to Ronnie Young, who is going to talk a little bit about the training.
Good afternoon, Madam Vice Chair and member of the committees. My name is Ronnie Young, for the record, and I represent the 4,100 members of the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 357 in Southern Nevada. Our scope of work covers a vast scope of industrial and commercial work, anything from small retail to large-scale utility and renewable energy projects. I'm here to speak about the training prospect of this bill. eSamTech is a national certification that was created after the emergence of the battery storage technology within the industry. The certification was created to address the dangers that come with battery storage due to the sometimes volatile nature of battery malfunctions. For those of you that don't know, lithium batteries can explode, producing super hot shrapnel, toxic fumes, and terrible electrical fires that come from what we call thermal runaway. That is where there's an electrical fire that continues to burn for an extended long period of time. A good example of such a catastrophe would be there was an apartment neighborhood fire that happened in New York earlier this year where it took almost 200 firefighters to put out. Those very same firefighters talked about how difficult those fires were to put out in general. All of that damage was caused by a lithium-powered scooter. So with that, eSamTech is about creating a safety standard certification across the board to ensure proper installation and maintenance as systems like this are becoming more and more common. In regards to the renewable energy battery storage is one of those technologies that we're seeing used to address gaps in energy production with renewable energy. When the arrays can no longer produce power required, they need to fill it somehow when there's no more sunshine outside. We have already installed some battery storage on some of these utility-side solar arrays in Southern Nevada and are seeing the integration of these systems in more and more upcoming projects. The IBEW has recognized the importance of this industry standard, and we have already started training not only electricians that are working on this system, but train the trainers for the specific certification. We're seeing the demand start to kick up more and more, and that's kind of why we're bringing this bill to light. The training is relatively inexpensive. It costs around $30 for the training as a whole, and it's an 8-day course that's done twice a week for about 4 weeks. In closing, this bill is about a national certification of installation and training with these systems so that they're done correctly to help ensure the safety of the system as a whole. I thank you again, Madam Chair, for this opportunity, and I'm open for questions.
And I might add, this is Senator Lang for the record, we do have a couple of amendments that have come to us in this bill. They aren't prepared to come to the committee yet, but I'd like to just kind of in a global way just discuss those with you. On the eSamTech training, that is the #1 training out there right now, and that's why we think it's important for our state to be able to do that training. They're doing that training in California and other states in the United States. But sometime in the future, because it's an ever-emerging technology, it may change, and eSamTech may not be the training. So we're going to have an amendment that will say that under the Contractors Board is what governs us, that they would be able to choose a different training or other trainings that would meet the qualifications. So we'll have that. The other thing we're going to add on to the bill is last year when we had the big omnibus bill for energy with Senator Brooks, there was one word that was said a little differently than may have been helpful in the energy industry. And so we're going to submit amendment to change that one word, and all the parties have agreed, and I'll make sure that you have that and the committee has that moving forward. With that, we stand open for questions.
Thank you, committee. Senator Hansen.
Thanks, Madam Vice Chair. The question on the course, and it goes through the Contractors Board. You know, there's a lot of non-union electrical contractors. Are these courses available for everybody, union and non-union?
Yes, thank you, Senator Hansen. This is Senator Lang for the record. It would be available for anyone that wants to take it. And even though they have locations in Las Vegas and Reno, they will do those courses anywhere where there's a need. And so they'll be offered a lot so that people can get trained. And to make it easier for like the smaller companies, we can do a train-the-trainer program where someone can be trained and they can oversee what people in the company are doing, so it isn't cumbersome upon small companies.
Very good. Perfect answer. Now, that's what I want to make sure that we have everybody covered that acts here in the trades. Thank you, Madam Vice Chair.
Additional questions? I guess I just have one. So lithium batteries could explode?
Thank you, Senator, for the question. Ronnie Young, for the record. Yes, if not installed properly or maintained properly, they have the potential, the electrical potential for an explosion. Actually, I have a personal friend of mine who used to be the assistant training director for my apprenticeship. He had a small vape that was powered by a lithium battery, and it spontaneously combusted in his pants, which caused third-degree burns up and down his thigh. So yes, if something's not put together properly or if it's maintained improperly, we have a lot of heat. There's a lot of working parts that go with these types of installations. If not done properly, they do have potential of explosion, which comes with hot shrapnel, and they produce a noxious fume that's actually very poisonous.
Just trying to make sure, so the renewable energy options that we have, if they're used correctly, then they could be safe.
Thank you for the question, Senator. Ronnie Young, for the record. Yes, correct. If we are going to do renewable energies and we do the installation correctly,
I'm talking about renewable energy across the spectrum.
Across the spectrum, that is correct. Okay. It's safe as long as it's done correctly and maintained properly.
By people who know what they're doing.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Just want to make sure. Any additional questions? Okay, we'll open up the hearing now for those in support of Senate Bill 314. And Senator Lang, I remember 204. I think I was one of the primary sponsors for that, so.
Thank you, Madam Chair. For the record, Danny Thompson, today representing the Southern Nevada Building and Construction Trades. Maintaining and having these battery storage systems are critical to the renewable energy portfolio standard, and having people that know how to install them and maintain them are critical to make it work properly. And so we support this bill wholeheartedly. Thank you.
Ernie Adler, I represent IBW 1245. We think this bill is of critical importance, especially the training portion of it. Just to note, in New York City last year, 2022, there were over 200 fires caused by lithium batteries exploding and burning, and 6 people lost their lives. So this is not a trivial matter. The importance of having safety with these large battery systems is really, really important. And the way to make it safe is to have trained people installing the batteries in these systems. And further, I think the idea that we need to have storage for our solar energy systems is also very important, because if you want to keep the lights on at night, you're going to need some sort of electrical storage, and we need to promote that in order to have a modern type of system. I have no other comments.
Good afternoon, Vice Chair Spearman and members of the committee. My name is Ryan Bellows, and I'm the Vice President of Government and External Relations at NV Energy. I'm here today in support of Senate Bill 314. We would like to thank the bill sponsor for bringing this important bill. For years now, NV Energy has been a leader in energy storage, and in fact, in Southern Nevada, one of our projects, our Gemini Solar project, is one of the biggest battery storage projects in the nation. And so we know that as we continue to build more renewable resources, which has been talked about today, that energy storage is going to be a critical component to being able to solve the needs of our customers during those peak hours when those renewable assets aren't performing. We also support certainly the safe construction of those energy storage systems and the maintenance of those systems. We know that the IBW is uniquely qualified to do that. And we also fully support the ESAMTAC training, which is in this bill, which is the industry standard, which we fully support. So we urge your support of Senate Bill 314, and thank you for your time.
Senator Hansen.
Thanks, Madam Vice Chair. In another life, I was a Scoutmaster, and Mr. Bellows here was one of my Boy Scouts. Question I got, do you guys currently use this training standard already? I mean, or is this a new standard that you guys are going to adopt?
Thank you, Senator Hansen, for the question. Ryan Bellows for the record. So this is currently a standard that we utilize. So on our contracts, when folks are building storage for us, we have this in there that they are required to go through and utilize this ESAMTAC training right now.
Okay, so it's been around a while. That's not some new thing that they just came up with, and you guys have been using it for a long time. Just sort of expanding it to make sure everybody putting in lithium batteries that may be dangerous are properly trained.
Yep, Ryan Bellows for the record, that's correct. Yep.
Good. Thanks, Madam Vice Chair.
Good afternoon, Madam Vice Chair and committee members. I'm Wendy Newman, Assistant Chapter Manager for the Southern Nevada chapter of the National Electrical Contractors Association, also known as NECA. We are in support of the bill. We urge you to do the same. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Sarah Collins. I'm with I3 Public Affairs. I am the counterpart to NECA South. I am National Electrical Contractor Association of Northern Nevada. We are also in support of the bill, as our comments have already been stated on the record, so support the bill, please.
Good afternoon, Madam Vice Chair, members of the committee. My name is Fran Alvarez. I'm here today representing the Teamsters. We are in full support of this bill. Anytime there are programs who will train the trainer, train the people so that the batteries will be safe, and there have been fires due to these batteries, and we would like everyone to be safe. Urge your support of this bill. Thank you.
Madam Vice Chair, members of the committee, Richard Perkins for the record, representing NextEra Energy Resources. Just here to add our support to the bill as well. I think that the previous speakers have covered all the topics. Thank you.
Madam Vice Chair, members of the committee, Jeremy Newman for the record. To answer Senator Hansen's, it was 2016 at Penn State is when they created ESAMTech. And IBW 396 is in full support of this bill also. Thank you.
Madam Vice Chair Spearman, committee members, my name is Alfonso Lopez. I represent the sheet metal and air rail transportation workers and also in full support of this bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else here in Carson City? Don't see anyone in Las Vegas. BPS, we have anyone on the phones?
Callers, if you would like to testify in support of Senate Bill 314, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. One moment, Chair.
Hello, my name is Jacob Haas. I represent IBW Local 401 and over 800 members. We have over 100 members right now that have gone through the ESAMTech training, and we support this bill. Thank you.
Chair, there are no more callers choosing to testify in support at this time.
Thank you. So we'll go now to opposition. Anyone here in Carson City in opposition? Anyone in Las Vegas? Opposition? Okay.
Hi, committee. Russell Rowe here on behalf of Tesla. In the opposition position only because of your committee rules. We've been working with the bill sponsor on the conceptual amendment that she referenced, and been working on that yesterday and early this morning in Senate tour. So we really appreciate the time she's given us and the time to even review the amendment, because I know how busy she's been, particularly today. Generally, as she referenced, what the amendment would do is authorize a state agency. In our conceptual amendment, we didn't name the agency because we weren't sure which one. State Contractors Board sounds completely reasonable. That would provide some oversight function for the training programs and allow more than just one program to be accepted, and then have some qualifying eligibility criteria to make sure there's some standards in place for the programs, I believe all of which ESAMTech would qualify for. So with that, that's all I have. Thank you.
Senator Hansen.
Thanks, Madam Vice Chair. I'm representing Tesla now. Are there, I don't know anything about this at all. Are there other training programs that have the same standards that we're looking at in this bill? that you guys already are using, or, I mean, what other options are out there? And you know, like in my world, we have the Uniform Plumbing Code, Uniform Mechanical Code, then they came out with the international ones, there ended up being a million of them. We tried to limit it down to one code at one point, but it seemed impossible. So I don't object to the idea of having, you know, one standard that kind of all the contractors have to meet. Are there other ones out there, though, that you guys are recommending in addition to this one?
Russell Rowe for the record. I'm not aware of any existing national program that's out there yet. I know Tesla obviously does significant training with its employees with respect to their products. I know there's been conversations around putting some standards together from an industry perspective. So we'd like to have the opportunity to do that and then make sure that goes through a proper oversight body for approval.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, I hate to say it, but there's been Tesla automobile fires that I assume were linked to lithium batteries. Not a lot, you know, considering in relation to the number of cars on the road, but, you know, I guess some of the union guys might say, maybe if you guys would have trained your guys with this standard, you might not have had those automobile fires. Any validity to that?
Thank you. For the record, Russell Rowe on behalf of Tesla. Yeah, any battery can catch fire and explode, right? It contains energy. So all of them have to be installed properly. And frankly, most of the really large utility scale battery storage products that Tesla manufactures are sold to utility purchasers and are installed by IBW members, which we're very comfortable with. They do the best job.
Very good. Thank you, Madam Vice Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. For the record, my name is Kyle Davis, and I am here today on behalf of the Interwest Energy Alliance. Interwest is a trade association made up of about 40 of the largest wind, solar, storage, geothermal, and transmission companies in the world, doing business here in Nevada and 5 other western states. I first want to thank Senator Lang for meeting with us and talking about this bill, and as you heard in her bill presentation, she is working on amendments right now that Mr. Rowe mentioned. So I think we are very hopeful that as we work through those amendments, that we'll get to a place where we'll be comfortable with the bill. Our main concern right now is just making sure that we don't create a bottleneck of a situation where projects aren't able to move forward due to a lack of availability for training, and also to make sure that there are options available for contractors so that people can be trained and be able to do these installations. Our members, we develop projects, but in almost all cases, hire local contractors, local electricians. So in many cases, and you heard from the presentation that many of our members likely are already using electricians that have been trained in this program. But we just want to make sure that we set up a program that is going to be able to be flexible enough that we're not going to end up with a bottleneck. But I'm optimistic that continuing to work with Senator Lang will be able to reach language that I think works for everybody. Thank you.
Madam Vice Chair, members of the committee, for the record, Jessica Ferrato here today on behalf of the Solar Energy Industries Association. Would like to echo all the comments of my colleagues. Agreed, want to thank Senator Lang for being so open to have conversations about the bill and our concerns. I'm in full support of the amendment that Tesla brought forward, and looking forward to working with the senator on coming to a resolution. Just want to echo the comments of my colleagues. I think the biggest concern here is availability of training and making sure that we don't cause delays. Nevada is very focused on the energy future, which will include a lot of installation of storage. And so we want to make sure that the workforce is able to access these training programs, and that we allow for flexibility for different types of programs. And I think the amendment that the senator's discussing with us hopefully resolves those concerns and helps us get all of the folks that need to be trained in a timely manner. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else here in Carson City in opposition? Oh, no, neutral. Where am I? Neutral. I'm a neutral. Planet Earth to me. Opposition. Come on, don't confuse me. Opposition. Okay, phones. I've been in the same meetings that Senator Lang has been in all day. See anyone on the phones?
Callers, if you would like to testify in opposition to Senate Bill 314, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. One moment, Chair.
Good afternoon. My name is Sarah Steinberg. That's SarahSteinberg, and I'm a policy director with Advanced Energy United. United is an industry association comprised of businesses dedicated to making the energy we use clean, affordable, and reliable, including those businesses involved in manufacturing, developing, and installing electrochemical energy storage systems. Here today in opposition to SB 314 as introduced, but as others have mentioned, we do support the amendment concept brought forward earlier today. The bill as introduced requires a new private training program, the Energy Storage and Microgrid Training and Certification Program for all installers of electrochemical energy storage systems in Nevada. The program is not required for installers in any other state, and in fact, the state of California has recently dedicated budget to further developing the program and its related training centers. We believe that it's premature to impose an inflexible requirement for this specific training program on installers and are concerned that it will create a bottleneck for the development of a clean and reliable resource important to help Nevada serve its residents with affordable energy during extreme heat and peak grid conditions. Furthermore, we do not think the state should be outsourcing its workforce training entirely to one private program, especially in that program's early days. So that the state can maintain flexibility and oversight related to any required training, we are working with Senator Lang on the amendment that would offer alternative pathways to certification as determined by a state agency that align with nationally recognized best practices for the safe installation of energy storage. We very much appreciate her support of the amendment concept and look forward to our further work together. Thank you for your time.
Chair, there are no more callers choosing to testify in opposition at this time.
Okay, so now we will move to neutral. Anyone here? Carson City? Don't see anyone in Las Vegas. Neutral, BPS, anyone in neutral on the phones?
Callers, if you would like to testify in neutral for Senate Bill 314, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. One moment, Chair.
Vice Chairman Spearman, committee members, my name is Tony Simmons, TonySimmons for the record. I would just like to remind the committee that Section 21 of 2019 Senate Bill 300 alluded to an open legal controversy that affects energy policy statewide. Any decision we move forward must take into consideration we have a serious unresolved legal controversy. Thank you.
Chair, there are no more callers choosing to testify in neutral at this time.
Thank you. So we're going to invite Senator Lang. You want to come back, closing comments? Ronnie, come on.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. For the record, Ronnie Young, not Senator Lang. I just wanted to talk about some of the questions that have come up. Senator Hansen, you asked about the degree of the national recognition that this program has. It's a standard certification. It actually started with the National Science Foundation approached Penn State University with a grant, a study grant for this program. And when Penn State developed it, they partnered with the National Fire Protection Association, the National Electrical Installation Standards Committee, the National Electric Code, the American National Standards Institute, and the Electric Power Research Institute. So it's a nonprofit organization that's brand neutral, and it's just something that the IBW felt it met the standards of training and safety that we try to instill in our workforce. And to the question of bottlenecking, due to lack of teachers, there is no state standard yet. We're hoping to change that. We're hoping this committee will support that with this bill. But even without a state standard, we have already trained 34 trained the trainers through our program, and our training centers are not profit. we're nonprofit. We cannot make profits with our training, so it's literally at cost of the class. And, you know, it's something that we've done at CSN with our apprentices, and I'm sure we can address the needs of anyone's concerned with bottlenecking. But I urge this committee support this bill, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. And with that, we will close the hearing on Senate Bill 314 and open it up now for public comment. Public comment is 2 minutes per individual, and public comment does not, shall not, will not include anything that we've already talked about with respect to the bills that have been processed today. So is there anyone here in Carson City for public comment? Don't see anyone in Las Vegas. BPS, anyone on the phones?
Callers, if you would like to provide public comment, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no callers choosing to provide public comment at this time.
Okay, thank you. And with that, we will close this edition of the Committee on Commerce and Labor. Did I? I'm sorry, growth and infrastructure is a habit, it's a habit. Yeah, growth and infrastructure, and I think Friday's meeting is canceled. We don't have a meeting on Friday. Okay, yeah. Okay, so we are now adjourned. Growth and infrastructure.